I'll try to promote it. There we go. Okay. Rumor has it we have a quorum, so let's get started.
All right. Sorry about that, guys. I had a little technical problem
there. No worries, that happens. Welcome.
Good morning.
Let's call this meeting of the Solid Waste Advisory Committee to order. It's February 7th. And I will do a quick roll call of members. The City of Lacey is vacant, but Nick is here, who we assume will be the new appointee from the City of Lacey. Gary Edwards is excused. Amy Evans from the Port of Olympia. Is Amy here?
That position is vacant.
Oh, that position is vacant. Okay.
Yeah, she will be appointed shortly by the board. So it's just, she's in the queue for that, but it just hasn't happened.
Got it. Thank you for that update. Lisa Partially. I thought I saw Lisa come on. City of Olympia, Lisa. Okay. Joan Cathy from the City of Tumwater. Trevor Palmer, City of Yelm.
Present.
Welcome, Trevor. Elaine Clam from the City of Tenino.
Present.
And Kirsten Presley from the town of Bucota. I thought I saw her come in too. Yes, there she is. Richard Moon.
Here.
Good morning, Richard. And Greg Schoenbachler is here in the room.
Morning.
Morning. Chad Sutter. I don't see Chad. Aaron Robertson, did I hear he's excused this morning? Okay, thank you. David Nightingale is here in the room. And Blake Nelson with the Department of Ecology. Is Blake here?
Actually, there's going to be a change, I understand. That I just heard last week that Christina Kohlberg will be our new representative. Is that correct?
Okay.
Yes, and I am here. So.
Oh, okay. And welcome.
Thank you.
New year, lots of new changes. So Jeff, could you introduce staff and any guests we might have today?
Certainly. We have 4 staff there in your room. So I'll start with Amanda Romero, our Senior Program Manager.
Hi, good morning.
We have Laura Glover, who's our Solid Waste Planner.
Hello.
Jessica Kelly, our Senior, well, I forget what your title is, but Jessica Kelly is there, I believe, taking minutes for us today. And Hope Springer, Education Outreach 1 specialist, is in the room. And then online, I see Rob Putner, Education Outreach Specialist 2.
Good morning.
Also from the county, we have Rebecca Harvey, who will be talking to us today from the board's office.
Good morning, everyone.
And I think that is it for staff. And then as far as guests, soon to be joining us, hopefully on the SWAC, is Nicholas Dunning.
Morning.
And from the City of Lacey. And then we have Stephen Gilmore from Republic.
Good morning.
And David, I forgot your last name. Would you introduce yourself?
It's just David is fine from San Francisco, just listening. Very interested in solid waste issues. Keep up the good work.
And I believe that's it.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Has everyone had a chance to look at today's meeting agenda? And if you're comfortable with it, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I so move.
Thank you, Elaine. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Trevor. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, our agenda is approved. And have you had a chance to take a look at the minutes from our last meeting, which was in January? If so, once again, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I so move.
Thank you, Elaine. And a second?
I can second that.
Okay, thanks, Trevor. Once again, all in favor of approving the minutes from our January 3rd meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Hearing none, our meeting minutes from January 3rd are approved. I don't think we have any public comment. Is there anybody on Zoom who might have comment? If not, we will move right on to old business, which addresses the approval of our 2024 work plan.
And there was just one item that changed in that work plan. June no longer has the post-legislative session. That got moved to April because we're in a short session.
We are in a short session and we're halfway through. Halfway plus 1 day, yes.
So I was attending virtually the commissioners meeting yesterday, and they approved the contract to do the updated local hazardous waste plan. And I didn't see anything on the work plan as far as getting status reports or something on that. Is that going to just happen organically, or should that be part of the work plan, or what are folks thinking, staff?
So in the past, that's been a big part of our work plan, but do you know the timeline on that yet, Jeff?
I have not seen that yet. So this is actually running through, it's coming through public health. They received the grant for this work from Ecology, and they're the ones, the public health is overseeing this. So they're the ones who generate this plan. If you look at the work plan that we have, you'll see the note after December mentions that the hazardous waste management plan, when the consultant is ready at a point, as part of that work plan, it is to come in front of this group. I mean, that was so, but I don't know what that date is yet. So they're just giving the award. I have not seen the schedule for that. So that will come in front of this group at least once, if not maybe.
Yeah, probably more than that. Yeah.
So they are the leads on it. Obviously, we will all have input on it, but the public health is the lead on this work. And I understand the work is being done by HDR as well. So who you're with. So.
Thanks for bringing that up, David. Anything else that anyone would like to mention? Yes, Richard.
Yeah, just regarding the May entry, I had originally, I guess, requested that we have a sort of 5 to 10 year outlook on the climate impacts and how they might affect solid waste operations. And I just wanted to clarify that I'm particularly interested in how they may affect design issues for our upcoming projects. If there are any statewide intended changes in planning regarding the ability to withstand future hazardous weather events, if we see that happening in the plan, or if there are any impacts that might affect operations in the planning over time, other than sort of the routine engineering standards that would be applied to any modern construction.
So you're thinking about a resiliency plan, sort of?
Resiliency was the word I was looking for when I couldn't come up.
That's a good one, yeah.
Having a senior moment again, so.
Can we add that to the description for May? Just maybe add the word resiliency to operations, something like that. Yeah, absolutely. Great. Anything else about the work plan for 2024? Anything in the room? I'm not seeing any more hands up there. Are we ready to approve our work plan for 2024? If so, I would entertain a motion to approve the work plan.
I'll move to approve the work plan for 2024.
Thank you, David. And do we have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Richard. And now we will move on to new business. The first item on our agenda is to elect a new chair and vice chair. Oh, yes, Jeff.
You had a motion a second, but you didn't take a vote.
Oh, we didn't take a vote. All in favor of approving the 2024 work plan, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, we have approved our work plan for 2024. Thanks, Jeff. Keeping me honest. Okay. On that happy note, we really need to elect a new chair. Is there anyone who would like to step up to the joy of leading this group? I have to say it's been fun. Staff makes it easy.
I'd be willing to do it.
Thank you, David. Are there others who would be interested in serving as chair? I have to ask 3 times. Are there others who would be interested in serving as our chair? And if not, by unanimous acclamation, David Nightingale will serve as our new chair, which is very exciting. I think, David, you will do a great job, and thank you for stepping up.
You're welcome.
Anybody interested in serving as vice chair, which is even easier than being the chair? Would you be interested in doing that?
I like to look at me.
I'm looking at Greg.
I'd be willing.
Okay, very good. Greg Schoenbachler has graciously agreed to run for the position of vice chair. Is there anyone else who is interested in serving in the role of vice chair? Is there anyone else who is interested in serving as vice chair of the SWAC? And if not, I don't see any hands. Congratulations to you as well, Greg.
This will be the last one I show up to in person.
Yeah. You know I'm going to look at you if you're in the room. Do I now turn the gavel over to David to continue the meeting?
Oh, why don't you just go ahead?
Okay, I'll finish this one out, and you'll be ready for next one. Okay. Very good. Thank you so much for stepping up, and truly, I've learned a lot through this process, and it's been a fun experience because staff makes it fun. So I think both of you will enjoy the increased leadership in this group. So we now are looking forward to a presentation from Rebecca on solar installation at the work update.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to share my screen. So I was scheduled to present last month, and it was a very full meeting, and I got pushed to this month, but that's actually a good thing because we're at a better place now. We're even a little closer to getting the project moved along, so I'm happy to share it with you. Does everyone see my screen with the slides? Yeah?
Yes.
So I'm following up on a presentation I gave to the SWAC just about a year ago, last February. And some of you may have been there. And at that time, I shared an opportunity to partner with Puget Sound Energy to develop a solar energy project on the closed landfill at the Waste and Recovery Center. So today is an update on where we are with project planning and approval, which is going on among the county and Puget Sound Energy and a private solar developer by the name of EDF Renewables. I've been working very closely with the staff team in Public Works, which includes Jeff, as well as Gerald Towsley, the Solid Waste Facility Operations Manager, Craig Sisson, the Real Estate Services Manager, and Karen Horowitz in the Prosecuting Attorney's Office. So my role in the county is to lead implementation of the Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan. The plan is a collaboration among the governments of Thurston County and the cities of Lacey, Olympia, and Tumwater, which have all adopted the targets of reducing countywide greenhouse gas emissions 45% by 2030 and 85% by 2050 below a 2015 baseline. The strategies and actions in the plan are divided into these 5 sectors that you see here. And in the buildings and energy sector, one of the key strategies is increasing production of local renewable energy, and that is what this project helps to advance. There are a number of benefits to a potential landfill solar project. First, the project would provide revenue to the county in the form of lease payments, which are to be negotiated, what the amount and term will be. It will generate clean and reliable electricity helping the county and state to advance our climate-related goals. Importantly, it will repurpose vacant land that has otherwise limited development potential. And there is a modest economic development benefit in terms of creating an estimated 60 to 90 jobs during the construction phase that would pay a prevailing wage and other economic benefits such as local contracting opportunities. Adding solar to the electric grid helps reduce costs and price volatility associated with fossil fuels such as natural gas. And this project would place little to no demand on local infrastructure or services like roads, water, sewer, etc. And finally, the project would have a low visual profile and quiet operations to preserve the rural open space character of the area. Staff identified the landfill as a priority location for this opportunity with PSE because there is a growing movement across the country to install solar on landfills and other brownfield sites. Because these lands generally have great sun exposure, they're wide open, and they have limited other redevelopment opportunities. You can't build a building in general, usually on a closed landfill, maybe never. You can make a dog park as we have on part of this site. You could do things like that that are very low impact, and a solar development is low impact. So the team identified an area of about 25 acres of open grassy land on the closed landfill, which are shown here in the blue outline. The system is estimated to be a size that would generate about 3 megawatts AC power. And by my calculations, that's 375 times what the average home rooftop solar system is, about 8 kilowatt system on the average home. So you could say about equivalent to powering 375 homes. Once again, it would provide revenue to the county, which is a key benefit. So EDF Renewables has drafted this project design in the proposal that they gave to us, and they submitted this also to Puget Sound Energy, who evaluated it and determined that it did meet the criteria that they have for their open opportunity in the distributed solar and storage program. So now to develop the full design, they will need to conduct some studies and investigations. So we are at the point now where we need to get agreement in place with EDF Renewables to allow them to come on site and do that work. A key aspect to their proposal that I wanted to highlight is that EDFR is highly experienced in the development of solar photovoltaics on environmentally sensitive sites, including landfills. So the project will be designed and installed in a manner consistent with best practices. Specifically, it will use concrete ballasted racking systems and above ground cabling to avoid penetration of the ground and risking any damage to the landfill cap or facility operations. So to walk through the process so far in the last year, this discussion started at the beginning of 2023. We were approached by EDF Renewables and gave an initial briefing to the Board of County Commissioners, which resulted in support on their part to move forward. EDFR submitted their proposal to Puget Sound Energy in March, and the county submitted a letter of support along with that. The county then published a notice of intent to negotiate lease, made it public. We did only receive the one proposal from this developer, and then a few months went by without a lot of activity until we heard in August that PSE did evaluate and award the project to EDFR, meaning that it was one of the short list of projects that they selected for this opportunity to develop distributed solar projects throughout their service area. So that was exciting and kind of accelerated our work here in the county. So since the fall, we've been talking quite frequently with our staff team to try to move this along. And I gave another briefing to the Board of County Commissioners in October. We sat down with the attorneys of the county and of EDF Renewables in November to try to begin to align on the language that could go into an agreement. And where we are today is just having some back and forth with EDFR. We've had a couple rounds of drafts of 2 agreements that are to put in place the short-term control that's needed on both parts to start to move forward in negotiating a long-term lease. So we have a draft option to lease agreement, and we have a draft right of entry agreement. And the intent is to put those both forward to the Board of County Commissioners, hopefully in March. And I have the drafts that we just got back from our legal counsel at the county to send to EDFR probably tomorrow. And I think we're getting pretty close in finalizing those agreements, which is an exciting step to be at, because it's all moving pretty quickly on the developer's site with PSE. They are in the process of negotiating a power purchase agreement with Puget Sound Energy and the interconnection agreement, and hoping to execute that also by March. Once our option to lease and right of entry agreements are hopefully in place, then the county and EDFR can move forward with negotiating that big long-term lease that might be up to like a 25-year term for the solar development. And then also EDFR will be able to come on site and do those preliminary investigation and development activities, including surveys, environmental site design, wetland delineation, geotechnical, etc. And the hope is that construction can begin in 2025 in line with PSE's desired schedule. So just to give you a sense of some of the questions we've been contending with, that this just it's not an easy thing to do because it's new to the county. We've never done an agreement quite like this. The county has a lot of experience with property leases, but not one for a solar development. So there's been a lot of learning, and ultimately it comes down to the county's obligation, which is to maintain the core mission of the work site and the work that goes on there, and to ensure that the project will not cause environmental harm to the landfill or disrupt operations at the site. The county is always kind of pushing back with EDF, who wants to move really quickly, but the county needs to ensure that we have sufficient time to negotiate the potential lease terms before entering into a binding agreement to lease the land. And then for their part, EDFR is needing the assurance that there will be a lease agreement before ramping up the costly investigation. So it's been a lot of give and take on trying to figure out what language we can put in there that meets the needs of both parties. And so now we have terms that are regarding, quote, good faith negotiations of a long-term lease. And that seems to be working for us. But as I said, we have the latest draft to be reviewed by the developer soon, and hoping we can reach agreement on those terms. So I will just end with the comment that we have received a lot of favorable comments at the project, starting with that initial presentation I gave to the SWAC last year. I remember this group had a lot of support to share, so thank you for that. And since I last presented to the board back in the fall, we have received 21 public comments that are in support of the project, and here's an example of one here. So we are optimistic that it will move forward, and just working on getting that agreement signed soon, and I'll report back to you when we have more news, and I'll stop here for any questions. Thanks.
Thanks, Rebecca. That was a very thorough report. Do we have questions for Rebecca?
I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah. Rebecca, could you clarify, is the power from the solar panels for the surrounding community or for powering at the work?
Yeah, I should have said this. Thank you for the question. It's a front of meter solar installation. So that means it's not connected to the meter at the work. It is just going to go straight into PSE's electric grid. And that was the terms of this request for proposals that PSE put out, is for increasing the resiliency of their grid, really, by as they have to move towards more clean energy and meet the state goals for the Clean Energy Transformation Act, they really are trying to move forward with solar and other renewable sources. And this is a distributed solar energy project that will connect to their grid and help it be more reliable.
Okay, and so I guess on that, do you know if they anticipate producing more energy than is needed and like needing to have batteries for storage during certain, you know, hours, like during the summertime when it's sunnier out, and or does it seem like the power is going to just be in addition to what is needed?
Having battery storage is on the table. It's to be determined. I don't think we have, the developer hasn't gone so far as to really assess what that would look like yet, but that will be in the next steps once they get on site and do some of the studies and do a more detailed technical assessment and economic assessment. So that the opportunity that PSE put out was for distributed storage, distributed solar and battery storage. So if it makes sense to do it in this sense, because it is quite expensive to install the batteries, but they might look at doing that. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Rebecca. Let's go to David and then Richard.
So PSE is, I'm assuming, wanting to take credit for generating renewable energy for their energy portfolio and meet their state requirements. And also the county has its climate goals, and not both PSE and the county can claim the same credit. So I don't know if anybody's talked to the legal people about renewable energy certificates and credits, but that, you know, I'd hate to be in a position where two entities are claiming the same credits for the same project, which can happen. So I didn't hear you speak about that. Has that already been worked out? And is PSE going to take the credits, or is the county going to take the credits, or what?
David, that's a great question. And I just made a note because it's always been in the back of my mind. I have not asked that question specifically, but I'm under the assumption that it is PSE taking credits because it's their program, and they need to meet their goals. So I will clarify that, but you're absolutely right. We can't duplicate the credits. So we think of it more as an opportunity for the county to receive some revenue and to use vacant land that's not being used for anything else towards a goal that meets all of our goals.
I know the legal beagles will say that, you know, you can't even talk about it being a renewable energy project, you know, if you're not actually, if you don't own the credits. So you just need to be, I can chat with you further about that if you'd like. I've got some background in that. So
okay, great, thank you.
That's an interesting question.
Yeah,
that I hadn't even thought of. So thank you for that. Richard, I believe I saw your hand.
Yes, along that line, I'm wondering if there are any other comparable projects or any policies specifically aimed at developing solar on the roofs of county or municipal buildings, you know, things that can be done along that line. One of my concerns is that PSE seems to be enthusiastic about projects that they can control and take credit for, but not so enthusiastic about projects that go to the credits of, say, the county or other individual groups. I know that Olympia Community Solar has run into some resistance in that area on their proposals. And so I'm just wondering, you know, do we have other policies that encourage these kinds of projects? And particularly, I would think county-owned buildings would be an excellent, you know, target for development.
Thank you for the question, Richard. Yes, we are moving forward with some other projects related to promoting renewable energy. One of them was the county just in 2023 received SolSmart Silver designation, which is a DOE, Federal Department of Energy recognition and technical assistance program that reviewed our codes, our land development codes and zoning codes, and permitting requirements for promoting solar countywide, and we received the designation of silver. We will go to gold once we are able to make a few code changes. So they kind of checked out that, the county's codes are favorable towards the development of solar generally. And we also are participating in a Department of Commerce technical assistance program for solar plus storage on government facilities. And we have just completed 6 feasibility assessments for 6 county buildings, the Public Works headquarters, the Emergency Coordination Center on the same Tilly Road campus, the Emergency Services Center on Pacific Ave, the Public Health and Social Services Building, and 2 buildings at the fairgrounds. And they did a thorough technical and economic analysis of solar, rooftop solar, as well as battery storage, because there is a state grant coming open for both of those. So we're just now looking at which buildings would be the top priority to move forward with solar installations, and a couple of them might be good candidates based on a resiliency argument that to power them in short or even long-term power outages for a battery storage system as well. And there are grants and federal incentives to help cover that. So we're moving forward with looking at those particular buildings right now.
Any other questions for Rebecca? I am not seeing any hands. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you all for the questions.
Update.
It's kind of not exactly related to the solar, but it's something that's tangentially related that might be helpful for Rebecca to talk about. I believe we received potential grants for EV charging. Could you talk about that?
Can, because the press release went out. I can talk about the Department of Commerce. It's WAEVCP, Washington EV Charging Program. There was a new program that we just applied for in the very first round in November, and they moved really quickly and announced the awards a couple of weeks, or I think a week ago, with the governor's press release. And we were awarded a project for 4 charge ports, level 2, which is the medium speed charging. So 4 charging stations for the WARC, for fleet vehicles, not for public use yet, because the county has not yet assessed where to put or what the need is exactly for public chargers. And we're trying to move towards transitioning our fleet towards EVs. So we were awarded for 4 chargers at the WARC, and also a full parking lot across from the county administration building on Pacific Ave of 20 charge ports. So we can get those in the ground and then really start moving faster on procuring electric vehicles.
And it looks like Richard has his hand up.
Sorry. Yeah, it's just,
okay.
What about the park and ride at the WARC? Is there any possibility of making level 2 charging available there?
We don't control that. Is that right, Jeff? That's an intercity transit.
That's intercity transit, and I know they have charging, but I think it's probably the least level, I believe.
Yeah, they have level 2 chargers there.
Oh, they are? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I knew there were charging stations there at that, but yeah, that's least transit. They operate that, maintain that whole area. We get that whole $1 a year lease fee off of them.
Well, don't spend it all in one place is all I can say.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Any other questions for Rebecca before we move on? Okay, thanks again, Rebecca. And moving on to Jeff with an update on capital facilities.
Okay, all right. Well, I think Laura, I think you put the slides up, if you please.
See, I believe it's this one.
There we go. Got it. Okay. Well, yeah, so there's an update on the various capital type improvement projects that we've had going on. This is kind of just an overview slide. Let's go ahead and move on to the first project. Next slide, please. I know we have some new members here, so it's going to give again a little bit of an overview. Some of you have heard this, a number of times before, but the first project I'm going to speak about is the SCADA project, which is SCADA is an acronym for Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition. Basically, it's a system that connects various hardware, pumps, sensors, alarms, meters, etc. It connects them digitally so that you can control them from a central access point. There was actually a SCADA system that was installed to do a lot of that work way back, 20 plus years ago when the landfill was first closed. However, that system was failing due to its age. So we went out and went with a new upgraded, improved system. That project is now completed. We're happy to say it took a couple of years to get it in, but we had some slowdowns with the supply chain for a little while, but it is now in place, and it allows our environmental operations technicians the opportunity to again control things like the flare, different valves, different pumps, our landfill gas system, the pumps and the vacuums that run in that. So from a central location, whereas as the other system had been failing, they would often have to go out to specific valves and pumps and manually control those. We also receive high level flow, low level alarms, and again they can control a lot of the system now from a laptop. Which is really nice, particularly when it's the off hours, is that you don't necessarily have to come driving in at 2 in the morning to do things, so they can control that from a remote system, because we do always have somebody on call for our facility, since we're here, we're open most days. So that one is complete. We're excited about that. And next slide. The companion project that was going pretty much concurrently with the SCADA upgrade was the upgrade of is the improvement of our flare system. It was a downsizing of our flare. Again, for those who weren't aware, the original flares were installed when the landfill closed in the year 2000. They were very large. We had a pair of stacks. They're about 30 and 40 foot tall and about 6 feet in diameter. But that was appropriate at that time, because as landfills start to degrade, they generate a lot more methane and gas. We are now 24 years down the line from closing the landfill, and the gas production in the landfill is way down that gas curve, and we are actually having a lot of issues and difficulty with using those old flares, because we didn't have the level of gas or the quantity of not enough methane or just a total quantity of gas to really operate them efficiently. So we actually installed a pair of new landfill gas flares. They're small little candlesticks, but they're more appropriately sized now for the level of gas that we currently have that we're seeing at the system, and we basically flare that off to destroy the methane. And that project also was completed at the end of last year. So those two projects are up and running and doing well. Before I move forward, any questions on either of those two? Great. All right, next slide, please. This one is currently active. Similarly, there's a lot of different pumps that run all of our systems. From basically, we have a leachate collection system, landfill gas condensate, as well as just the pumps that do the drawing on the landfill to create the vacuum in the landfill gas, as well as stormwater system that we have here, as well as just there's standard, for example, just all the facilities that we have here, standard wastewater from our restrooms, for example. So a lot of those pumps, again, we were just having constantly every year just having pumps that are giving it up and passing away and having to be replaced. So this was a large project to go in, basically replace and repair a lot of our old pump systems. We had several manholes that had difficult access, that would require a confined space entry. So we upgraded several of those as well to basically where we've been raised them up to not require confined space entry, because that's a very dangerous activity that we really don't like sending our staff down. They have the ability to do it, but if we can avoid it at all, you know, it's a hazardous thing to have them do. So we've really reduced that opportunity. So again, this project has taken a little bit longer because due to supply chain delays, but we're really pretty much only extending that out because of that by about 4 months. So we anticipate that they should be done by April here in this few months. So that's moving along and everything seems to be going well. So any questions about that project? You guys are easy today. All right, next slide. Technology upgrades. Again, basically, of those couple that we've previously done, we put fencing and access control on hold. And this is a project that we had planned, but we backed off because as we'll talk about that here more in a little bit. We are looking at doing a reconfiguration of the Waste and Recovery Center to better account for several items. I'll talk more about. But we didn't want to invest a lot of dollars in fencing when that whole layout may change. So we'll reassess based upon that reconfiguration, best way to do additional fencing and access control. However, we have just completed security camera upgrades at the Waste and Recovery Center. Basically, the cameras that we had out there, again, were decades old, lower resolution, and then we've actually added a few additional camera locations. The new cameras that we put in, way better resolution. So it really does for a couple reasons, for security reasons. Additionally, we do use those for example, when you get somebody that decides they come in, drop their load, and then skip the scales, what we call a runner. We are able to get good quality photos where we can catch, we have their license plates and everything. Those individuals, we send them, a nice letter that has their pictures of their car driving past the scales and we have a really high percentage of folks that come back and pay. We lead them with the threat of, come back and pay your bill, or we'll refer this to the sheriff, et cetera. So we have good success on catching the renters. You don't get a lot of them, but we do need to make sure that we're getting that. And again, we've had good success with that. All right, next slide. And here's the one I was referring to just previously. So the Waste and Recovery Center, the Master Conceptual Plan, which is the reconfiguration project that we've been working on. And let's back up again. So if you've heard some of this before, bear with me. I just know we have some new members. I just want to make sure that people are aware of what we're doing here. So Thurston County had a facility condition assessment and infrastructure master plan done that was completed back in 2018. And one of the things that was recommended that the Waste and Recovery Center, the public tipping area, the scale houses, and organics processing and recycling area be relocated. And really the goals of doing that is for several key points. One is, often we're at capacity, particularly in the summertime, we are really, if you've been here and it starts queuing up, we're super busy in the summer, and it's just, we get over capacity as far as vehicle counts and volume at times. So one of the goals would be to increase, and we're going to be here for the long term, so we need to look at future capacity as population grows, continues to grow. We need to make sure that we have the capacity to manage and handle that. So increasing facility capacity is a key piece. We have a lot of infrastructure that's located in buildings over the old closed landfill. Anybody who's familiar with landfills and knows that they settle over time. So that's created some problems with a couple of buildings, and even at the public tipping area where we've had settlement and things are starting to go off plumb and kilter. Our toll houses and our scales are put on piles so they don't settle, because that would be an issue. However, all of the approaches in and around the drive and the roads around them are settling, creating some issues as well. So the idea would be to reduce and maybe move some of this infrastructure off the old closed landfill, because we actually do have space on the property that's over original ground that's potentially available. So that would help to eliminate some of our ongoing maintenance issues, hopefully improve our customer access, and again, may reduce some of our wait times in the queuing and backups that we might have, particularly the summertime. And then the other key piece is we're looking to goal is to try to separate the commercial, so the en route, like curbside type vehicles, large, the large type vehicles from the self-haul type vehicles. So right now they all come across the same scales in one location. They're backing up and tipping right adjacent. A guy with a trailer is right next to a commercial packer truck, dip him in there. So we've been fortunate not having any negative interactions between the two to date, but it would be it'd be in the best interest for safety perspective for everybody to try to separate those two streams. So we had an initial study done it was completed in 2021 that had 4 alternatives that were looked at, of which I know we came to the SWAC with that, and there were 2 that were favored, and then basically the SWAC agreed, yeah, we think those 2 were the ones that we look at, and those 2 consisted of basically moving the public area, the self-haul down with the new scales, down near where Hassel House is on the south side of the property, which is on original ground, with one of those 2 creating a new tipping wall, a Z wall, kind of like similar to what we have at our current public tipping area. The other one was expanding the actual transfer station building to the west to create basically all the tipping would be within one building. Just the public would tip in one side, and the private haulers would continue where they're at. So that was the recommendation that we came to the SWAC with back in January of 2023, and to move forward with looking at that option. We took that same recommendation that to the SWAC, said thumbs up. Yeah, that looks like the way to go. We took that to the Board of County Commissioners in March at a briefing, and they agreed. So then we hired HDR to perform a basis of design study to look at that. Well, we got that basis of design study back this last, I think it was November, December, I forget exactly. There was an original cost estimate in the 2021 study that we were using as a basis. What we found with the basis of the design, when we got more looking at the nitty-gritty and the details, was that it was going to be dramatically more expensive than what we thought originally. So we're currently investigating some other possible options to take a look at getting this cost down, to make it a little less expensive option. So we're meeting with the HDR and staff to investigate other similar, but maybe options, but something that would be not quite as dramatically expensive. So there will be, when that comes up, when we have more on that, we'll be coming back to the SWAC just to share that. So, but just to know that we're still moving forward, but that we're really looking at what kind of options we might have, is because we need to be cognizant of the dollars that we're spending in our budgets for our capital improvements. So any questions on that one? Okay, next slide, please. And then Rainier and Rochester improvements. Now, as you know, this whole work reconfiguration piece started with initially with looking at no, I'm sorry, wrong. I'm off base there. I was thinking of something else. Okay, we were looking at improving Rainier and Rochester initially, adding scales, making it so we could take larger type hauling, be able to use like transfer trailers versus drop boxes to haul directly from there. When we looked at the cost of that, this is back around probably 2000 or so, the cost was high enough that the question came, well, do we want to do that? Because the facilities are small and there's not that much room for expansion in those facilities. So you would, even though you'd have some improvements, you wouldn't really increase the ultimate capacity for customers. So then the thought was, well, if we're going to spend that kind of money, we should take a look also at maybe citing a new transfer station that would have greater capacity, as well as providing additional services that don't exist at the 2 Dropbox sites right now. For example, at those 2 sites, we don't take organics separately. So if you come in with organics, it just goes in the garbage because it just isn't adequate. There's not enough room for having a separate container for that. Additionally, we don't have the space to recycle appliances or scrap metal or tires like we do here at the Waste Recovery Center. So one of the thoughts is, okay, well, if we were to site a new facility, then, you know, besides having more capacity, we'd also be able to provide additional services to the customers. So they put these just the upgrade of the Rainier and Rochester sites on hold until we made a decision on, you know, are we going to do that or are we not? So that's that aspect of the project is on hold. However, we have done a couple of other projects out there related to it. We actually just finished back at the end of last year upgrading the security cameras for each of the sites. The one at Rochester was non-functional. The one at Rainier was failing. Again, very old. And now we have new, you know, higher res camera systems, and it's definitely helped with our security out there. They're both relatively remote, and we have had in the past some break-ins. So this will definitely help us out. We'll be able to probably more likely see our perpetrators if we were to get somebody to come in there at this point in time. Additionally, we're in the process of having what we call a little small building, like an 8x20 break rooms built at each of those two sites. And if you haven't been out there, basically all the employees there's like a really small toll booth that basically had a spot for a computer. There's a little back half had a restroom, and then basically the refrigerator and the microwave and everything were in the restroom. And on a rainy day, there was no place to actually eat inside. So people had to go inside their cars and eat, that kind of thing. So not ideal for both our employees as well as Republic has a pair of employees at each of those sites. They were relegated to basically doing the same thing as well. So as far as having to eat in their vehicles if the weather was poor. So these two buildings are in construction right now and expected to be completed by the end of March. So our employees, and I think Republic's employees, are going to be excited about that because they'll have a place out of the weather, whether it's the sun or rain, to sit down, eat their lunch, or take a break. So we're excited about that. Wrapping up here shortly. Any questions about those? Okay. And next slide, there we go. And I was referring to this one just a minute ago. So potential South County transfer station. So we began to look at that, and many of you in the SWAC are aware of this one. You know, again, we talked about Rainier and Rochester being kind of over design capacity and providing basic services. So back in, I think it was the summer of 2022, HDR, we went out and did some initial stakeholder engagement, public outreach to assess desired services. You know, what would the people be interested in? You know, what kind of hours would they be interested in, and potential locations that they would be, as far as how far are you willing to drive, and that sort of thing. So the stakeholder engagement included having people out at those facilities, getting direct surveys. We had an online survey that we sent out postcards to everybody in the South County to get online to do the surveys. We actually had a kind of a public information session that I think was Zoom attended, that we had a presentation and gave feedback. So that was all put together in a report, and I believe that report's still available on our website. And it was reviewed, and SWAC had heard that presentation. So we, based upon that, we briefed the Board of County Commissioners back in January. Then we had HDR do a siting study. Siting to look at, okay, let's fine tune it down. And what they basically got GIS and looked for sites that were larger than 10 acres, you know, the South County, greater than 10 acres in size, that didn't, you know, that didn't have any land use restrictions, you know, not near airport, you know, there's a certain distance out away from airports, prime ag land, you know, the certain timber type lands, you know, so what would potentially, you know, be usable. And basically they whittled it down to 3 sites. And I know Wendy from HDR gave a presentation to the SWAC, I believe it was October or November last year. So there was that presentation on what those three are. So we'll be taking this. It's been completed. We'll be giving the Board of County Commissioners a briefing on this in the next couple of months, and then see where that interest is on, do we want to pursue moving forward or not? I mean, let's see what that interest is. We definitely, one of the reasons we've held back on briefing the commissioners is we've added a couple of new commissioners, so we want to get all 5 commissioners up to speed as well. So versus the previously only the original 3 had heard this so far. So we'll continue to move forward with that. There'll be more information as we continue to push this forward and as far as the decision point. Any questions on that one? Okay, I think that last slide, compactor replacement, estimated timeline. Here we go. So our compactor is crucial, extremely crucial piece of equipment here at the Waste and Recovery Center. When it goes down, our throughput to the facility slows down dramatically because you have to only top load the containers versus compacting it and loading it out that way. And then when you do that, you lose about 5 tons per load less as far as each load that goes out. So you're definitely not getting the material out of here as quickly. So it's crucial that that is operating. And over the last couple of years, we've had some periods where it's gone down for a little bit of time, and it's created some backup issues as far as with waste at our facility. So we are in the process of we put out a request for proposals for a new compactor. That actually the proposals are due to be received next Tuesday, on February 13th. So the idea will be that they'll remove the existing one. We're actually going to have them kind of go overhaul and mothball it, and we're going to keep it here on site to use in a potential future expansion as the work reconfiguration that we talked about. We want to save it for us to have it so that we can maybe put that back into that expanded facility to use it as a backup. So we'd have some redundancy. So when one's down for maintenance or goes down unexpectedly, at least have another potential opportunity to continue to do that. So, but so we'll be reviewing proposals later this month, and hopefully moving forward with that. So our expectation for that to actually get it, once we have a contract with somebody, it'll probably be looking at the beginning of next year before that's actually going to be would be installed, because even once you get a new contract, the build time is about 6 to 9 months, depending on where you happen to fall in the queue for that. So because there's others that are already lined up for that. So we hope to have a new one in by sometime early next year is our goal, our hope. So, and any questions on that one? And if not, that's it for that.
There is one question, Jeff.
Yeah, hi Jeff. If when that new compactor is being installed, how will that impact the work operations?
Well, my understanding is, I know that this is the last time it was replaced, which was in the beginning of 2017, is they were able to turn that around in just a few days.
Oh, okay.
So, and this is where it lines up well. We want them to do it in the middle of winter. Because that's that's our lowest waste flow time. So it's actually, they'll line up well, because that's you don't want to be down for 3 days in the summertime, because it's, again, we get hit pretty hard, so that it stacks up quickly. So we the idea would be to be knowing when it goes in, to be prepared, have plenty of top load containers available, and just be be ready to be on top of it, knowing when it's going to go in. So.
Hey Jeff, I had thinking about compactor. I know that when you crush a lithium-ion battery enough, it will start burning. Have you had any compactor fires yet there?
Not that I can think of. I mean, typically, the only place I've ever seen we've had a fire is typically been out in the pit before it goes in. So, and that's, I don't think, and Steve might even be able to answer that. I don't think we've had a lithium battery related. Usually it's something else that, that people bring in, ashes that aren't quite cooled, or that kind of thing when we've had any kind of that kind of a fire. But
yeah, generally
lithium-ion batteries can start them, but so far that hasn't been an issue. And of course, as you know, we'll take lithium-ion batteries at Hazo House. So.
Right.
So generally speaking, the compacted loads generally are less fire risky than open top containers. Most of the times when you see a fire with a battery like that, it's usually in garbage trucks en route. So LeMay has lost, I think, 2 trucks in the last year from fires locally.
Wow. Yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah. Thanks for jumping in, Steve. Any other questions for Jeff?
All right, thank you.
Okay, I don't see any hands up there. So we will move on to Amanda with an update on our litter program. Looks to me like we're getting slides going. There we go.
Yeah, thank you. All right. I am Amanda Romero. I'm the Senior Program Manager, and along with that means that I lead the litter control program for the county. I'm just gonna adjust this. Okay. And so to give you a little bit of context about the county's litter program, it's been around since the 90s. It was started by the Board of County Commissioners and was assigned to the Thurston County Public Works Roads and Transportation Division. Then last year in January, it was moved from roads to the solid waste division. So we've had it a little over a year now in our division. And this program is funded by state grants as well as the roads division and the solid waste division. And within that, within the program, we have one full-time employee that goes out every day to find litter and also helps bring on inmate crews to pick up litter, as well as court-mandated community service volunteers. And we also get help from park staff who pick up litter in the county parks. And that is all litter that they are collecting on county right-of-way and unincorporated public areas. So this is a picture of some of the things we see. So our employee, Carl, I asked him to send me some pictures. I know he snaps pictures of some of the litter he comes across, and he sent me a lot more pictures than I can share with all of you today. So I just picked some good ones. And so you can see the kinds of litter and dump sites he's finding. Sometimes it's just lots of garbage bags and different bits of little, smaller litter. And sometimes it's larger things like vehicles or, for example, this boat. We also come across lots of appliances and just all kinds of things. This picture on the right looks like it could be maybe some construction demolition pieces and things like that. So these are the kinds of things our litter program is working to remediate, get rid of, and so they're not an eyesore causing pollution. In the history of our litter program, this is just some data you can see over the years. We've had an increase in litter pickup. So this is 1990 through 2021. And our next slide shows the past 2 years. In 2023, we were able to pick up over 275,000 pounds of litter. And that is all in unincorporated Thurston County and Thurston County right away. And you can see that there isn't always month-to-month trends that we can count on. There are a lot of variables involved for the work we do in the litter program. Sometimes we might pick up more or less trash, depending on if we had more inmate crews. We don't get inmate crews every day. It's just when they're available. Or maybe we got some extra help from volunteers 1 month. And then it also depends on when we have our seasonal staff. We also have a seasonal position that comes on 6 months a year. And to talk a little bit about our state grants, we have 2 state grants right now. They're both from the Department of Ecology. One is the community litter cleanup program. And for the 23-25 cycle, we got $152,000. And then the other grant that we just received was the ramp litter cleanup program. That's a new grant. And that's particularly for ramp cleanup, which has been a sticky situation for litter programs everywhere. Ramps can be especially difficult because they're hard to clean up with the traffic, but also, as we know, they tend to collect a lot of litter also. And so we have $16,000 for that program. With these funds, we were able to purchase a new vehicle for the program. The old vehicle is reaching its end of life. And so with this new funds, we were able to put $40,000 towards the truck, together with the previous granting cycle, gave us $60,000. And so with those 4 years of funding combined, we were able to purchase this new truck. And it just arrived last month. It is getting final touches on it right now in the shop. And so we should have it up and running real soon. We also have a volunteer program. Anyone in the county is welcome to contact us to ask for safety vests, trash pickers, and then we'll also give them these orange bags you see in the picture so that they can fill the bags and then leave them in a decided upon location. And then our employee Carl will come pick them up and take them to the work for disposal at no cost. And aside from safety vests, we also provide gloves, all kinds of safety gear and PPE so people aren't getting dirty or getting feel unsafe. And also I wanted to mention that if someone isn't interested in volunteering and cleaning up the litter themselves, they are also welcome to give us a call and just report a dump site or report some litter, and we will schedule it and go out and pick it up. And then some new things coming for the litter program is another additional full-time permanent employee. So that was approved in the budget. And so we will be recruiting for that position hopefully soon. We also have a county litter program webpage that is coming out soon. It is in its final draft. We're just putting some finishing touches on it, and it should go live probably in the next week or so. And then we are also working towards starting an Adopt a Road and Adopt a Spot program so that businesses, organizations, or even families can adopt a road or a spot in unincorporated Thurston County and take care of that space and get a sign put up for it. And overall, we're putting effort toward increasing community engagement so people know that they can contact us about litter problems as well as get involved by volunteering. Any questions?
Any questions for Amanda? I'm not seeing any hands.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. Just wanted to point out that that new litter truck we have it comes equipped with a crane to help. So when you come up with, you saw some of those things that's large and heavy. I mean, it's obviously heavier than an individual or two can pick up. So that was one of the key pieces that's going to, one, be able to pick up bigger items too, for the health and safety of our employees. They're not going to strain themselves as well. So that's like a key piece on that new piece of equipment we have.
So I'm just curious, you have one full-time employee in that program and you're getting ready to recruit another.
Yes.
What does a role like that pay? Is it a living wage job or?
Well, it is a classified position, so
Okay.
it is in the union.
Yeah, okay.
I don't remember the salary off the top of my head, but I believe we classified it as a labor flagger. So if you're interested in looking up that classification, you can, all of the classifications in the county are listed on the website, whether they're recruiting or not for that classification. And so you can see what that position entails and the pay scale.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Amanda? If not, Jeff, we're sending it back to you.
All right. Well, I only have one other thing. I talked about a lot of things going on during my last presentation. That's, you know, all the things we got going that way. I want to talk about a new contract that was just recently signed. Actually, it was on January 23rd last month. The Board of County Commissioners approved a new contract for moderate risk waste hauling and disposal services. So that's the hauling of the waste out of Hazo House. So for the last 2 years, we've been using a company called ACT Enviro, but we put out that work to a request for proposals back this last fall. And then we received two, one from ACT Enviro and then one from Clean Harbors Environmental. We did a rating of, based upon experience, cost, of course, as well as other factors. And Clean Harbors was the highest scoring proposer. So again, the board approved a new contract this last month. So it's a 1-year contract with 4 1-year extension options. So ultimately, if we go with all those, it'd be up to 5 years. The value of that agreement over that 5 years is about 1.5 million. It's about 300,000 a year. So, and then just as is everything else that we pretty much do, the funds for all of this comes from solid waste tipping fees, as that funds most of our stuff. But I do want to point out, additionally, for this particular piece, is we receive a local solid waste financial assistance grant assistance from the Department of Ecology. So I think it's over $500,000 over the next biennium that goes towards those costs. So anyway, that's new, and so we got Clean Harbors, and they've just started starting February 1st. So a new contractor. So that should go well. And that really is about all I have for today.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Any questions about that for Jeff? If not, do we have any announcements or anything that anybody would like to share with this group? Now's a good time to do that. I'm looking for hands in the room or hands on the Zoom call. And I am not seeing any. Jeff, do you have anything more to share with us? No? Well, then let me just say one more time, congratulations to David and Greg on your new roles. And we are giving you 15 minutes back today. Thank you for being here and looking forward to a really productive 2024.
Thank you.
And with that, we will close this meeting.
And thank you, Renee, for your many years of service as our chair.
Happy to do it. You guys make it easy.
All right, have a good rest of your day, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a good day.